When I'm not almost losing my life by falling off a cliff during a joke music video shoot.
I know that you're gonna have it your way or nothing at all, but I think you're moving too fast.
I like to answer questions and comments that I get off YouTube, so let's get to it. There's beginner and intermediate, but what about mediocre? I'm that guy that only does just enough and never gets to the next level. Well, first off, what do you mean by mediocre? Mediocre isn't really a level in and of itself. A lot of people just are super hard on themselves and don't feel like they're improving, thus they think they're mediocre. I used to be the exact same way. I used to know like bits and pieces of maybe like 100 songs, but if put on the spot, I probably couldn't complete a song. And I think that would be my best advice. Now, everybody's different. Everybody's at a different level. And it's funny that we really only have 3 levels. We have beginner, intermediate, and advanced, which is stupid. It's just putting labels on dumb stuff. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The number one thing is to make sure that you're okay with your own progress, and that's why having a little bit of structure or a goal is the number one most important thing that you could possibly do, all right? I personally have a hard time dealing with structure. If it's one of those things like, I'm going to practice every day from 9 to 9:30 a.m., I'm just not going to do that. There's no way to keep myself engaged if that's the goal. So I had to find different goals. The number one thing that helped me actually was forcing myself to play out more, which is a very difficult thing to do, but it's something that anybody can do, right? There's so many opportunities out there, whether it's just open mic, maybe it's just twitching, like doing like a live stream or something like that. But there are a lot of different ways that you can make yourself do something, or even just get prepared just in case that you're doing something. And like I said, having a small set list, I remember like my first real show, I had to play like 10 songs. And 10 songs seemed like an astronomical amount of stuff to do back then. Especially, like I said, because I just knew little pieces and riffs. I knew a million riffs, but never one actual song. So I think the best way to get past that mediocre level, or whatever level you're on, is just to learn more full songs. And that's the one thing, is because I do remember just being inspired to learn riffs because they seemed more fun to learn. And I was just kind of not as interested in maybe just the rhythmic parts that would just kind of push the song. Like, life is the time spent living in between riffs. You know what I'm saying? So really just kind of get it together and make yourself learn a full song, because you probably already know like the harder parts of the song. And I'm not even saying like learn solos or anything like that, just the structure of the song. Because once you have musical structure down, I think that's one of the most important eye-opening things that you could do, because then everything just kind of comes together a little bit better. You'd be like, all right, well, I know there's a verse and a chorus, and maybe the chords aren't hard in and of themselves, but maybe like the order and the memorization is something that you haven't spent a lot of time on. And again, that stuff kind of coalesces into like an understanding and working of the instrument and music in general. And then it just really helps in general. I'm going to give some more tips on how to actually maybe dexterity-wise improve with the next question coming up here. But I really think that like getting past that mediocre stage is something that everybody just deals with at one point or another. And really finishing is the number one thing that I can provide. And again, everyone learns differently. That might not be true for everybody. Some people really work well with a structured practice system and stuff. I just know for me, it was like making myself learn songs beginning to end. I have a Patreon where I teach like, 50 song lessons, my entire set list that I learned all of that stuff too. So if you're interested, I'll have a Patreon link below. But yeah, make yourself learn it beginning to end. And I think once you have that, you'd be like, all right, that's something done. There's a piece of music that I have under my belt. And for me, that was inspiring, and it became much easier to go to the next piece of music and the next piece of music, and then eventually have like an entire catalog of stuff that also helped me with my own original music and kind of finishing my own songs too. I have weird problems. Seems like you'd be the perfect guy to ask. Whenever I play bar chords or anything where the pinky and ring finger share a fret, my pinky always goes on top. I try to do it the right way, but my pinky ain't into it. I like learning new chord shapes. It seems the more I learn, the more this is an issue. Would it be better to use my thumb on this, or just to keep arguing with my pinky? All right, so when you say your pinky goes on top, I think what you mean is this, right? So here's like an A major bar chord like this. I've seen some people do it like this, where their pinky actually is on like the second fret of the G string, and the ring finger's behind it, like that. That just gives me anxiety looking at it. Again, I don't want to say there's a right or a wrong way to do it, but you're probably right. If that's the case, you're going to run into some problems, because generally you want your ring finger to kind of like be out ahead of it like this. Kind of like if you're making a B minor bar chord or something like that. 2A, 4D, 4G with your pinky right here. And I get it, you know, it's hard to retrain yourself to do things, but I don't even think it's so much about retraining your muscle memory. I think it's just adding new muscle memory together, so then you can kind of just do either way, right? A lot of different tips that we could do, right? Let's say, let's do bar chords in a second, but let's just do a regular A minor chord right here, all right? One thing to kind of get a little more pinky independence, which is really what we're talking about here, is to start playing an A minor 7 like that. Just take your pinky and get it on the 3rd fret of the high E string, okay? So you got A minor, and really, and for some people that might be hard, especially if your pinky's used to kind of being on top. You're forcing it down to get there, okay? And then that spacing right there, that interval where it's kind of like 2 frets between your pointer finger and your pinky, I think is really important. It's going to come in handy in a lot of different situations, right? One thing that you might see a lot is a G7 chord. So let's do like a bar chord version of this, right? Whereas you're just barring the 3rd fret, and again, you don't have to get tone out of all the strings. That's another important thing about bar chords. Just because you have a bar chord shape doesn't mean you have to get tone out of everything. It's more just getting your hand in the right position and then eventually developing the strength and technique to kind of get everything to sound out. You don't even need everything to sound out, right? But if we have a G major bar chord, right? Same thing with that B minor, just 3rd fret's barred, ring finger is on the 5th fret of the A string, pinky is on the 5th fret of the D string, middle finger is on the 4th fret of the G string. Okay, so if you lift your pinky up, that's a G7, all right? Now, I think one thing that helped me with this specific problem a lot was doing a lot of Jimi Hendrix type stuff where the pinky's kind of like a free agent to do hammer-ons and pull-offs and stuff like that. But I think the easiest one to do to help with that problem is maybe taking your pinky and putting it on the 5th fret of the B string. Right? You can do the same thing with like an E7. Where you have like E7 open, 2, open, 1, and then get your pinky on that B string in line with that 2nd fret, right? There's A7, G7, or like I said, those Hendrix style inflections are a really good thing to practice too. Let's just take a regular F triad right here. Ring finger 3D, middle finger 2G, pointer finger 1B, and then just kind of work on having your pinky just kind of come down on that G string 3rd fret, and then come on and off. And that's like really, or the B string. And that's a great way to train pinky independence as far as like how you might see it contextually. Another great way is to do suspended chords, right? Something like this. That's something that is almost impossible to do without your pinky, right? So if we've got, and you can do this anywhere on the neck, I'm just using the 5th fret as an example right here. So 5A, 7, D, and then now your pinky is on the 9th fret of the G string. And then kind of work on that stretch. Now, another thing to think about in this particular example is you don't have to do it at the same time. You can do it as a reach, right? And then maybe do it on different spots. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. There's a lot of different ways that you can practice this. But once you start reaching, then eventually your hands are just going to get used to it and not reach anymore. And I think these are just some pretty simple ways to kind of go into training your pinky to maybe be in the most efficient spot where you're forcing it to be in the right spot. And of course, learning scales, right? I really like that 3-note per string thing that I started teaching maybe like a month or 2 ago, where like if we're doing it on the A string, it's like this type of deal, right? So 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9, 6, 7, 9, 6, 7, 9, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10. Doing that without your pinky is next to impossible. I know that people can, but I think that's just a really great way to just get that pinky in the game, and it'll eventually be in the right spot all the time. By the way, rocking out the Martin D35 today, so I'll have an affiliate link with the corresponding Elixir guitar strings that I'm using in the description if you guys want to help support the channel. Okay, that was the creepiest intro on YouTube. Dude, you're butt ugly. It's okay, lots of people are. Oh, man. I shudder to think about what the creepiest intro on YouTube would actually be. I don't even remember the video this guy was talking about, but that is definitely, that's something I don't really want to put a lot of research into. We're just gonna let that salty comment just go. Are you planning to teach more ukulele? I'm definitely down to teach more ukulele videos if you guys are interested in. The funny thing is about being like a YouTuber is if you post something that not a lot of people, specifically your core audience, isn't interested in, it's just gonna tank your entire channel. And if I'm gonna do that, which I do regularly, I would rather do it making vlogs on Asian pop stars and dinosaur world like I did yesterday than on ukulele instructional videos. But again, I'm open to it. If that's what the people want, I am a man of the people, a tool of the people. So if that's what people want to see, just comment below and I'll do it. Or if you want to see more Dinosaur World vlogs, definitely comment that too. Because that's probably the content that will never stop, no matter how unsuccessful it is and how much it tanks the rest of the videos. Because that's just my life goal, essentially, is to troll myself. Alright, for listening homework, we're going to go to some cool new indie type stuff. This is a song called Big Wheel. Just kind of randomly popped up on my Spotify. I thought it was pretty good, so check it out. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.